Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Thumbs up. Drop some love in the chat. Perfect. What's up to each of you? That was a test run. Do me a favor now. So you all should be up. You all are alert. I know you can hear me. That's perfect. I can see you. Do me a favor. Stop for a second and share this with somebody else. Share this with somebody else. Go ahead and share it, share it. I know you know somebody else who needs this word. So go ahead and share right now with somebody else, for somebody else. Go ahead and share it. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into this word today. But I want to invite you to make sure that somebody else who you know that needs it gets it. It's on you. I'm putting the onus on you. Sometimes we put it on everybody else. It's on you. Your friends getting help. It's on you. Sometimes the people, sometimes the people around you who are getting on your nerves aren't getting better because you aren't. I'm not telling you to do the work. Sometimes you aren't doing something as simple as sharing the message with them that could get that God could use to change them. Sometimes some of the people that are getting on your nerves, agitating you, aggravating you, you're preventing their progress. And I'm not telling you to step in and to be anything, but if you were just a share warrior, it's possible God could use your share to change their attitude. And so I want to invite you to invite somebody else today, right now, to get this message. If you're watching this live, I want to say welcome. If you're watching this back, I want to say thank you for hopping on, whoever you are, wherever you are. I just feel like God's going to share something today that you want to make sure that that you share. And so go ahead and share. Give you these announcements, two things quickly, and then I'm going to jump right into this teaching for today because we got a Super Bowl party later on. So number one, Rated R Wednesdays. You don't want to miss any of our Wednesdays. If you have missed any of our Wednesdays, the people who are watching with you right now will tell you Rated R Wednesdays are something you need to go catch up on. We've done 2 so far, and I'm convinced that if you watch them, if you ingest them, if you allow them to inform you of you, and then if you ask God to allow that information to transform you, you will leave February better than you came into it. Rated R Wednesdays, restricted for people who want to get better and live better. Want to get better and live better. And you just don't want to miss them. I'm dealing with rejection, relationships, vision, value, and everything in between. And this past Wednesday was a powerful experience. So I want to encourage you to go back and watch it in the event that you missed it. And even if you caught it, I feel like there's so much that's shared that it's very difficult, at least, to have gotten everything you needed out of watching those one time. So I want to invite you to go back and to watch that one for yourself. Secondly, today at 5 p.m., if you're in the Chicagoland area, anywhere in the Chicagoland area at 5 p.m., there's a family-friendly Super Bowl party that we're hosting. A family-friendly Super Bowl party that we're hosting. And that means you can bring the kids out. And I'm just be honest with y'all. When I told y'all can bring the kids out, y'all said I'm bringing lottie-dottie to everybody. Because I feel like some of y'all who've registered kids grabbed your neighbor's kids. I'm looking at this list and it's just like, okay, we got the babies coming. I'm glad about it though. Bring them out. You all come out too. You all tell anybody. We got some free chicken wings. Who could say no to free chicken wings? We got some soft drinks. We got some other stuff. But it's gonna be a good time. No, nothing fancy, nothing else. It's a good time around football, fun, family. Football, fun, family, free, fellowshipping. This is going to be a great time. I want to see you today at 5 p.m. at 2500 Oak Street in Bellwood, Illinois. It's right there at Roosevelt Middle School, 2500 Oak Street, right there in Bellwood. And you can go register right now on the church website, empowermentanywhere.com, or you can text Super Bowl to 77977. No, Text Super Bowl to 708-449-8197. One word, Super Bowl, to 708-449-8197. But all the information is on the church website. I'm ready to get into this teaching for today. And let's go. So, Lord, we thank you for who you are, what you've done, and what you're doing. I pray you would think with my mind, speak with my mouth. That which I didn't plan to say, I pray you would give. That which I'm not supposed to say, I pray you would take it away. Allow this time to be meaningful to the hearts and minds of these your people. Guide us and grow us as only you know how. We're so thankful for all that you are doing. We believe that the best is yet to come. And I pray that today is another life-changing encounter, all for your honor and all for your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Well, hey, listen, I'm in a series here on Sundays called Fatal Attractions. Fatal Attractions. Because there are some things that you might like looking at that are leading you toward a life that is less than God's best for you. There's some things you may like looking at that's leading you toward a life that's less than God's best for you. There's some things you are attracted to that are assignment assassinators. There's some things that may be seductive, but they are pulling you in to sin. There are some things that may be beautiful, but they are keeping you bound. There are some things that are alluring and attractive, but they are on assignment from the enemy to prevent you from moving into the life of purpose you've been called to live. If you could just get that understanding, you got enough right there. If you can understand those statements I just gave you, that's my sermon. That is the emphasis on this series, that there are some things that you're attracted to that are assassinating you. They are taking out your assignment silently. They are preventing you from moving in purpose. They are putting your life on pause. They are leaving you in states of complacency and stagnancy. They're making and ultimately they are robbing you of your faith. Undeniably, unmistakably robbing you of experiencing, here it is, of experiencing the fruitfulness and living in a place of fulfillment that was promised for the believer. Judges chapter number 16 is what I want to anchor our time today. Judges chapter number 16. Judges chapter number 16, begin reading at verse number 15. Judges 16, begin reading at verse number 15. Judges 16, begin reading at verse number 15. Here it is. It says, "Then she said to him, 'How can you say I love you when you won't confide in me? This is the third time you've made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your great strength. With such,'" first of all, let me stop there. She said this. She said, "How can you say you love me when you won't confide in me?" Just the third, because I don't know how much of this I'm gonna get through. So how can you say you love me when you won't confide in me? It's the third time you made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your great strength. Now, some of y'all don't have the full context there. Delilah has been asking for his secrets because she wants to take his secrets back to the enemy to take him out. So she makes this statement, says, "How can you say you love me if you won't tell me your secrets? How can you treat me like you love me, but you're really working with the enemy?" I'll deal with that later. With verse 16 says, "With such nagging," she's persistent. The enemy will always consistently and persistently come at you. It says, "With such nagging, she prodded him day after day, day after day, until he was sick to death about it." I don't know if you realize it or not, but the enemy will not take your one no as an answer. The enemy will not come after you once you say no and he'll back off. The enemy is not playing any games with you. The enemy is such a silent, subtle, sneaky snake. He keeps slithering his way back in. Every day he's coming at you. Every day he's trying to wear you down. Every day he's trying to hit you in the same spot over and over and over again. If you've ever watched boxing, especially boxing back in the day, what they would do is they would keep dagging at the same spot. Because if I can just break you down long enough, if I can just hit you in that core long enough, if I can't wear you out, I'm at least wear you down. She says, it says here, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read the scripture. I can't even get through the scripture. Here it is. It says, every day till he was sick to death. Verse 17. So he told her everything. So he told her everything. No razor has ever been used on my head, he said, because I've been a Nazarite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me and I would become as weak. I would become as weak as any other man. When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, when she saw he told her everything, she sent word to the rulers of the Philistines saying, come back once more because he has told me everything. You see, she had told them before. And when she went and told them before, they came to try to kill him and it didn't work. Because he was still operating from a place of being smart where he wasn't strong. So he wasn't strong enough to put her out, but he was at least smart enough to not tell her all of the secrets. And as a result of that, he was still he was in danger, but he wasn't defeated. But when he steps out of being smart where he's not strong, he ends up putting himself in a position of defeat. I don't know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. It's all gas, no brakes today. You go pick it up while I'm dropping it, and if you miss it, come back and watch it later. Because I'm telling you, if you catch this early, he has told me everything. Some of you all have given the enemy everything they need to take you out. I just feel that right there. Some of you have been giving the enemy everything you need. Everything they need. They ain't got to work for nothing. Don't have to work for anything. You gave it to them. So the rulers of Philistine returned with the silver in the hands, putting him to sleep on her lap. She called for someone to shave off the 7 braids of his hair, and so began to subdue him, to tie him up, and his strength left him. Title of today's sermon. Title of today's teaching. Title of today's medicine. The prescription. The prescription for your pain. The panacea for your problems. The balm in Gilead. I wanted to, I promise you, if you look at my notes, I think it might even show it right now if you're watching this live. We're going to change it afterward. Because I was going to call this message Dangerously in Love. Dangerously in Love. That is my child appropriate title for today's message. But what I feel in my spirit right now, make it my subtitle for those of y'all who can't handle it, because everybody can't handle this kind of talk. But we're going to have real talk. I want to have a real deal conversation with you about your calling. I want to have a purposeful pep talk with you about your purpose, because while this title of today's teaching may be Dangerously in Love, I really want to tell y'all, stop sleeping with the enemy. Hello, somebody. I said it. I felt it. I feel it on the inside, because some of you keep putting your head in the lap of what's attractive, and it's stroking your head, and it's singing your sweet nothings. And as a result, you giving the enemy everything you got. Dangerously in Love. Let me tell you how I arrived at this idea. I arrived at this idea of Dangerously in Love. Y'all remember that song with Beyonce, I Am in Love with You? I'll never leave. Just keep loving me the way you love. You loving me because I am in love with you now. Now, while it is notable, while it is noteworthy, while we may even say that we want to experience that degree in that kind of love, there is a truth about the danger of being in love with the wrong things and the wrong people. That there is a degree of danger associated with falling for and falling with the wrong things and the wrong people. That you can think that it's just a one-time thing. It's just, you can think, I got total control of this. You can think, I'm grown. I do what I want to do, when I want to do, how I want to do it. Can't nobody tell me nothing. I'm going to do my own thing, and God's going to give me grace to get through it, grace to get over it. But the danger of falling in love with the wrong things and people is you may not see it yet. But just because it's attractive to you doesn't mean it's not a sign to assassinate your assignment. Now, I want to be clear before some of you all click off of this and say, I got control over my relationship with my partner. I got control over my relationship with myself. I'm not engaging in self-destructive behavior that way. No, don't you dare click me off, because all of us have the proclivity and or the tendencies. And if we may not give into them, we at least may be tempted by them, because when we're not strong, we have to be smart. And many of us were not trained to be smart where we weren't strong. So we keep falling over the same type of things and the same type of people because we want what we want when we want it. Come on here, y'all in the chat. I see y'all in timeout. The whole crew in the corner. Anybody still there? Let's have some talk about these fatal attractions. We want what we want when we want it. And sometimes it's our connection with people. And sometimes it's the way we spend our money on stuff. Yeah, you see, what you don't realize is the truth of this reality is when I talk about fatal attractions, I'm not just talking about that boy or that girl you may be looking at. Yes, I may be talking about that, but I'm also talking about the way you look at stuff. I'm talking about the way I'm also I'm also talking about the way some of you view your life. You are attracted. I promise you, this was not part of my notes. This was not part of my preparation, but I feel something differently today. Some of you are attracted to the inferior version of yourself. Come here. Is it possible that you have become fatally attracted to an inferior version of yourself that is less than God's best for you, that you became attracted to a version of you that somebody else told you you were supposed to be, and as a result of it, you have settled in areas that you were never called to settle in? Somebody help me here today. Because you can be attracted to stuff. You can be attracted to people. You can be attracted to versions of yourself that may not be who you were called, created, and crafted to be. And when I say dangerously in love, I'm going to help somebody today, and I promise you, I've got some stuff I want to deal with in this series. I'm going to help some stuff get right and help some people see some things differently about potentially your intimate relationships or about these other areas. I'm dealing with this stuff this year. We're going to talk about it. We're going to debunk it. Because here's my conviction, y'all. This is why I'm so fired up this morning and in this series as a whole. Is because we are learning one way or the other about relationships and about attractions and about affinities and about our personalities. And we're getting all these cues and we're getting all this information and we're getting it from every place but the church. Everybody talking to us about our identity. Everybody talking to us about what we should like. Everybody talking to us about what we should do. We see all this other kind of stuff. And the church has not grown up enough to say, listen, I can't keep giving y'all milk. I got to start giving you food so that ultimately you can wake up and realize that some of the stuff you've been getting was okay when you were this age. But now that you have become Paul says it this way: when I was a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I stepped out of who I was and stepped into who I'm supposed to be, I stopped reasoning. I stopped that. Now I think like a man. Now I think like a mature individual. Now I see things with another degree of awareness that ought to help me step into the fullness of who I was called and created to be. Fatal attractions. Now, the danger of being dangerously in love. This is what I'm about to help. I'm about to help some people real quick. And this is, I promise you, this was not my pre-Valentine's Day sermon. I had something that was a little, that was, I had something else in mind before I hopped on this live this morning. Here it is. This is going to bother some of you, but I'm going to show it to you. It is possible, whether you know it or not, believe it or not, understand it yet or not, it is possible to fall in love with something or someone you were never intended to. The danger of being dangerously in love is it is possible to fall in love with some things and some people that you were never created to fall in love with. See, sometimes we think because we have a love for a thing, it meant that God wanted us to be in a thing. It is possible. Some of y'all like how? Some of y'all like how, real? How, Pastor? See, this is how. Have you ever fallen in love with, had an affinity for, wanted something daily that tasted good to you, but was not at all good for you? How many of y'all got stuff in your refrigerator right now? Now, once upon a time, you said you would never. And all of a sudden, you like this. Because the more you get of a thing, the more time you spend around a thing, the more some things just start growing on you. Y'all here? Are you here? And what I am suggesting to you today is that some things are pretty, but they're perilous. Some things are attractive, but they are assignment assassinators. And I want to suggest that sometimes some things happen to you and appear before you, and just because they're beautiful does not mean they won't leave you bound. I'm telling you that sometimes the devil shows up looking like Delilah. And I want to be clear, Delilah doesn't necessarily represent an individual. Delilah represents an issue. Delilah is an attractive assassinator of your assignment. Delilah is a representation of issues. It's a destiny killer, but it kills you softly. And the enemy wants our hands tied up, wants us bound in attractions so that we cannot fix what we were created to fix. So that way we cannot do what we were called and created to do. And if you are unaware of the devices of the enemy, then you have given him the advantage. Yeah. The Bible talks about how if you're unaware of the methods that he uses to get you, then you've given him the advantage and you've already lost part of that battle. Because so that's why this Fatal Attraction series was so key and critical. And now I understand why the Lord wouldn't allow me not to have this conversation with you all this month, because some bondage shows up looking beautiful. And some things may be fun. Some things, y'all ready for this? If you're ready for this, type If you're ready, just type ready in the chat. If you're not ready, type I don't know. Just some things, some things may be fun, but just because it's fun does not mean it's fruitful. Just because it's fun don't mean it's fulfilling. Just because it's fun does not mean it's going to lead me to a life of flourishing. And some of you are more concerned about what's fun than what's fruitful. Some of you all are more concerned about what's fun than what's fulfilling. Fun and fulfilling are two different things. Fun is what makes me happy for a moment, what tickles my itch, what scratches this proverbial itch that we may have, which makes me feel okay in the moment. But just because it's fun don't mean it's fulfilling. Just because it's fun doesn't mean it's fruitful. And just because it's fun does not mean it's going to lead me to a life of flourishing. And here it is. This is the statement that I was wondering if you were ready to handle a conversation with me about. And I'm telling you all, if I showed you my notes right now, this is something that just kind of rose up when I got on this live. Some of you all have been laying with some stuff that you thought was fun, but when you laid there long enough, you realized it wasn't fun. It was fatal. Some of you all have been found laying with stuff, putting your head in the lap of stuff, indulging in stuff that you thought was going to be fun. You looked up, you looked up, you looked over, you rolled over, you checked the bank account, you went to work the next day, and you thought it was fun. But what you didn't see was it was fatal. What you didn't see was it was potentially an assassin that was coming to attack your assignment. And here it is. Let me tell you why you weren't aware of it. Let me tell you why it's so easy for most of us to get caught up into it. And subsequently, let me likewise do my best to attempt to articulate how to get you free. Sometimes some of us are caught up in these things because we ended up with some degree of clouded judgment because of an injury that happened to us that we didn't even know about. I dealt with this a little bit on Wednesday. This is why you don't want to miss Braided Art Wednesdays, because Wednesdays I'm dealing with one thing, Sundays I'm dealing with another thing. But I'm telling you, the two are so intertwined and interconnected that you don't want to miss it, because some of you all have cloudy judgment. And here it is. Here's what I want to tell you about it. Most of you don't have cloudy judgment because you want to have cloudy judgment. Most of you have cloudy judgment because you inherited cloudy judgment. The impacts and the effects of trauma are so real. The impact and the effects of that which we see, that which we experience, and what you come to discover, the deeper you go into the core of this thing, of what can even be passed down generationally, unintentionally, because of the impact and the effects of trauma in your life. Trauma can cloud your judgment. You'll talk to people you shouldn't talk to. You'll talk to people you know ain't good for you. You'll invest money in places you know you shouldn't invest money. Or you'll invest money in places because you didn't know you shouldn't invest money. You spend money here because that's how mama spend money this way. So this is the way I watch them spend. Conversely, I watch them not have money. So this is my conviction about money is, oh, I'm not supposed to have money. You watch unhealthy relationships, so you think, oh, you accept some stuff as normal that should never be normalized. Just because somebody else, this is so not where I want to go today. Just because you saw somebody else do it don't mean it was functional, fruitful, flourishing, or fulfilling. You were injured. You were injured. And when you're injured, what is wrong feels right, because whatever is feeding you in the moment is at least giving you some degree of temporary satisfaction. When you are injured, you will take prescriptions for the pain Even though they don't fix the problem, they ease the symptom. What do I know what to take when my head hurts. I know what to take when my tooth hurts. I know what to take when my back hurts. But what do I take when I've got a soul wound? What do I do when I have lived through such a degree of difficulties and everybody else views me as strong? So nobody thinks to have a conversation about the purpose. Here it is. Samson, I told you last week, was strong. Samson, I told you last week, was the strongest in the land. Samson, I told you last week, was the one who ultimately was wise, typically, except he kept having issues in the area of his relationships with intimate partners. His eyes kept getting him in trouble. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I want to have this dialogue with you about destiny, this pep talk with you about purpose. Because ultimately, I'm telling you that the single greatest contributor to a fruitful, flourishing, and fulfilling life is your management of relationships. Here it is. Most of us are completely unaware of the implications, of the effects, and the impact over the people we allow in our life, over the people who were once in our life, and of the absence of the right people being in our lives. And I want to tell you without a doubt, regardless of how much other people haven't talked to you about it in the past, God cares. God cares. He wants to lead you up and lead you out. He wants to bring you through what you have experienced. He wants you to recover from that which you have suffered in. He wants to help you. That's it, Ryan. Lord, lead me when my heart is overwhelmed. I'm almost at my time. I said I wasn't going to keep y'all long today. Here it is. Let me give you this statement. Getting free from fatal attractions requires assessing our sight. Getting free from fatal attractions requires assessing our sight. Type it in the chat. Getting free from fatal attractions requires assessing our sight. Because some of us have such clouded judgment, have such blurred vision, that because trying to see how I can do this in a way where it makes sense, because I'm not going to get through my notes today. I'm not even going to get to what I want to talk about today. That some of us have such blurred vision that because of the deficiencies of other people's vision, we allowed them to tell us our value. And because we allowed them to tell us our value, we no longer see us clearly. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult to see the world clearly when I see me blurry. It's very difficult to raise the standard of how I expect others to treat me when I haven't raised the standard of how I treat myself. And if I could be honest for a second, This is why I had to pause because I know I came out the gate swinging hard and I came out with some shots fired. And I hope that it at least caught your attention. But let me do for you what my therapist did for me the last time I talked to her. She said, Teddy, ultimately, I get it. We don't know what we don't know when we don't know it. But these words rang so true. Be kind to yourself. Because some of you all right now, you're hearing what I'm saying. And you're like, man, how did I not know this? How did I not do this? How did I not do this? Be kind to yourself. You didn't know what you didn't know, but now that you do know, come here. I wish I would have knew 10 years ago. You didn't, but you know now. I wish I would have heard this 2 weeks ago, but you didn't, but you're hearing it now. I wish, because some of the reason for why transformation and change don't happen with some people is because ultimately they get so stuck in what they wish they would have knew. I know what you wish you would have known, but you didn't. So what do you know now? Hear me, because none of what I'm teaching, none of what I've ever taught was intended to make you feel bad about what you didn't do, make you feel bad about what you have engaged in. It was to open your eyes to a degree of awareness of what has happened to you and what you have done to yourself and what you have accepted that was unpermissible from other people. But it is to give you an eye-opening moment to give sight to the blind and to say, I didn't see it then, but I see something differently now. And is there anybody watching, listening, tuned in live, watching on the replay that says, I see it now? I didn't see it then, but I see it now. I didn't know it then, but I see it now. I didn't understand it then, but I see it now. And now that I see it now, I'm going to pursue something different. I'm going to do some things different. Getting free from fatal attractions requires assessing our sight. The text for today, let me at least take you back to the description for today, and I give you the rest of this sermon that I had intended for another day. Because ultimately I feel like I'm in a zone right here. I'm in a vein, and I feel like somebody must need what the Lord has given me in this moment. So here's when you go to this passage, it's Judges chapter number 16. When you go right there to verse number 15, I believe it is. When you're there in verse number 15, it says that she says, how can you say I love you when you won't confide in me? When I say it requires assessing our sight, when I say it requires assessing our sight, some of us, because we have such clouded judgment, come here, because we have never assessed our sight, we did not know that love is not manipulation. Y'all there? Anybody remember? I grew up, again, I was born new school, raised old school. So I grew up, my mom and my grandmother would get the newspaper sent to the house, and in it there used to be these pieces that my mom would keep and collect, and it was these love is love is love is love is pieces. But love is not manipulation. If you love me, you would tell me. That's that. Love is not manipulation. I'm not telling you because I don't trust you. And at this point in time, you have given me several reasons not to trust you. For whatever reasons, while I wasn't fully clear on exactly what was going on, the Lord, through the work of the Holy Spirit, gave me enough discernment to know something here was off. And so while I wasn't strong enough to get out, I was at least smart enough to know better. And so I didn't tell you before because I didn't trust you. It ain't nothing to do with lack of love. It's a lack of trust. But love is not manipulation. Are you here? Are you here? If you love me, you would tell me. Now, if you love me, you would create a safe that was space enough. Y'all not gonna like me today. If you loved me, you would tell me. Now, if you loved me, you would create a space that was safe enough for when I got ready to tell you, I would tell you. Well, you won't confide in me. Why won't I confide in you? This is what I'm trying to get you to see, because some of us are attracted to some stuff that we don't trust. We don't trust it, but we keep going back to it. Some of us are in love with stuff and with people we don't trust, but we keep going back to it. Can I tell you what else love is not? Love is not blind loyalty. Lord, this, I'm telling you, I'm so far out of my notes today. This is the third time you made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your great strength. The what? The first time. Let's. The first time I realized you were attempting to take me out. It was on me for not exiting. So we blame Samson sometimes. Samson, why didn't you get up the first time? Come here. Come here. Let's talk. So yeah, we can blame Samson. Can we also say, Delilah, where was your head at? That after the first time, he didn't discard you. After the first time, he remained connected. Something didn't click to say, wait a minute. Something about that Samson different. Wait a minute. Something about that Samson. I tried to trick him once. He kept me. Tried to trick me twice. I tried to trick him twice. He kept me. So y'all don't want to talk because, see, I'm trying to tell you, there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. And some of you all have discarded some people who gave you other chances. I'm talking about friends. If we're going to be honest, let's just be honest. I feel real pastoral today. So sometimes you got good friends. Sometimes some of y'all. So you pick. So because some of y'all, I see y'all in the chat. Sometimes y'all like, yeah, I've been Samson. Some of y'all like, yeah, I've been Delilah. The first time, Samson stayed. Second time, Samson stayed. Third time, Samson stayed. She says, this is the third time you've made a fool of me and haven't told me. This is the third time you tried to trick me, woman. This is the third time. Come here. This is the third time, enemy, you've tried to get me. This is the third time you've attempted to assassinate my assignment. This is why I'm saying that some of us are so dangerously in love with satisfying the feelings of our flesh. And what you don't realize is when you are dangerously in love with satisfying the feelings of your flesh, you will miss out on a fruitful, flourishing, and fulfilling life. It's because ultimately you will keep going back into self-destructive behavior that you know is not good for you. So I want to beat up on it. So I want to have a conversation with anybody who's been Samson, because some of you all have been accepting you've been accepting foolishness under the guise of bad theology. And I can love you and not give you access to me. Because I hear some of y'all that say, oh, what about the Bible's called to love everybody? Yeah. I can love you and not give you access to me. That was not what Samson did. Samson expressed his love and went and lay his head right back in her lap. Dr. Darius puts it this way. He says that everybody should be loved equally, but valued differently. Ah, man, I remember I'm gonna get it for you next week because it's so powerful to communicate this reality. We got to figure out where to put people sometimes. Sometimes you got to get rid of everybody, but sometimes you got to reposition them. I can love you and not give you access to me. I'm not dealing with this today, so this wasn't what I'm supposed to be dealing with today. At least what I thought. So Samson's there. He does not get up because he's dangerously in love with something that's assassinating his assignment. Is it possible he was in love with the thought of the thing more than he was in love with the thing? If I had a physical mic, I'd tap it and say, "Is this thing on?" Have some of you all been in love with the idea of a friendship with a person, or in love with the idea of this job, in love with the idea of this position, in love with the idea of this possession, in love with the idea of this whatever, and you weren't really in love with it, you were in love with the idea of it, so you kept going back to it even though it was not helping you? Delilah, though, Delilah's position was she was so dangerously in love with the earthly possessions that she was missing what God was positioning for her. I give you 1,100 shekels each. It suggested that calculation wise, that was gonna be about six figures if it was today's currency, just based upon how they kind of do some of that math. That in that day was, oh, way, that was a lot. But it blocked her and it blinded her. So beauty blinded Samson from seeing what he needed to see. But Delilah was blinded. Maybe she was driven from a place of her needs at home. Maybe she was driven from a background of not having anything and not having the right people in her corner to help her see how to value things, how to value unique things uniquely. I don't have time. Here it is. I want you to look at this. Go back to the Bible with me. Verse 19. Having put him to sleep on her lap. This is what I'm saying. This is the danger of unawareness. This is a danger of not addressing your sight. You went back to put your head back in the place, in the position that she kept trying to hurt you before. Having put him to sleep, she called a man to shave the 7 braids of his hair, and they began to subdue him, and the strength left him. And then she called. Then she called. Because when she called, he answers. Ooh! Then she called. Because he did not figure out how to be smart where he wasn't strong. So when she calls. And some of y'all, let me come a little closer. Some of y'all, whoever you may be, need to assess your sight. Because then when some people call, you got to stop answering. When some things call, he was under such a degree, such an affinity. He was so bound that when she called, he would wake up. What's waking you up? Is it calling or comfort? Is it faithfulness to God or your flesh? What's waking you up? See, because here's what I'm trying to get you to see, that sometimes these things are people. Sometimes these things are positions. Sometimes these things are possessions. There's some stuff that's waking you up. And if the money is the only thing that's driving you, because sometimes money is what's driving you. If money is your only driving factor, I'm telling you 1,000%, you can get the bag and still not have peace if money is your only driver. It's a lot of unhealthy people with money. It's a lot of unhappy people with money. I'm not saying that you can't have money and have peace. I'm saying just because you have money don't mean you'll have peace. No more than I'm saying if you have that man or that woman does not guarantee you peace. You can have a man, you can have whatever your partner may be, live in a house, buy a car, have the kids, have everything you thought you had. Just because you have a house don't make it a home. And what I'm trying to get you to see today, that while it was not my intention when I got on here, is that God is calling all of us to assess our sight and to make some decisions that don't just begin with them, but that begin with me. Yeah, if I'm Samson, I could fault Delilah, and if I'm Delilah, I could fault Samson. But if I'm Samson, I need to be talking to Samson. If I'm Delilah, I need to be talking to Delilah. Because ultimately, if I've been saying this almost for a year now, but I feel like there's a reason the Lord won't let me let it go. If I don't see God clearly, I will always misappropriate my own value. I can't see, if I see God clearly, I can start seeing me clearly. But if I don't see my God clearly, there's no way I can see me clearly, because I was made in his image. And if I don't see me clearly, there's no way I can expect you to handle me appropriately. And if I don't see myself clearly, there's no way I can handle myself appropriately. And maybe that's why some of us keep falling into fatal attractions. Maybe it's why some of us, while we feel this thing on the inside of us, we feel this thing burning up. We want to pursue purpose. We want to move toward calling. We want to move toward freedom. But there's something that just keeps pulling me back. It's possible. I'll deal with that next week. I don't want to start going down a new way. I feel something so strong right there that y'all hear me, hear my heart this today. Whenever you're watching this, I feel, I don't know. I feel somebody so strongly today, and you've been you've been treating some things that are non-essential like they're essential, and you've been neglecting the essentials. You've been treating some things like necessities that aren't, and you've been accessorizing the necessities. You've been valuing some things and some people that weren't essential. And as a result, you've had no time for the things and the people that are essential. And you can't walk in the life God called you to live without God. You can't walk in the life God called you to live without God. You can't do anything God says without God. You can't experience faithfulness without God. You can't experience fruitfulness without God. You can't experience fulfillment without God. You can't experience purpose without God. You can't experience peace without God. And some of us have gotten wrapped up in these things with people, or and we've gotten entangled with this stuff with our money. And we're like, God, why won't you send the resources? He's like, I did, but you got it so caught up in other stuff. I sent you the stuff. I sent you everything you needed, but you wrapped it up in the wrong stuff. I gave you the intellect, I gave you the gifting, I gave you what you needed, but you got so intertwined and so entangled with stuff and with people and with places that were not me. You didn't seek me first. When your sight is blurred, you won't make decisions wisely. When your sight is blurred, you won't take the necessary steps because you're experiencing these spiritual deficiencies because of some emotional injuries that you may or may not even been aware of. And again, we could talk about how we wish we would have got it sooner, or we could talk about the fact that you're getting it now. Because while you can't change what happened to you can't change what you have experienced. You can change what you do after. You can change what you do next. And there's a lot of you watching this right now that you've gone through everything. I mean, you've gone through the gambit of a lot. But have you fully gotten over anything? You need to decide what needs to change. You, you, you need to decide what needs to change. Because for a while I feel like I feel real pastoral. I'm gonna take a moment and I'm gonna let you all go. I'm finished. This wasn't where I was going today, but that's all right. Just let me just don't click off yet. I promise you, this is gonna help whoever may need it. Here it is. You need to decide what needs to change. And sometimes you've been saying that it's them, and you've been saying that it's this, and you've been saying that it's this, and if I just had this, then this would be this, and if I just had this, then this will be this, and if I just had this, then this will be this. And while all that may be true, if God gave you all that stuff you just pointed at, but you had not become a new you, what would you do with it? If I had more money, I'd do this. If you had more money, you may do something, but would you do what you're supposed to do with it if you haven't become a new you? If he sent you the man, if he sent you the woman you've been praying for, but you haven't become a new you, would you handle them right? If he opened the door you've been praying for, but you didn't change your mind and become a new you yet, would you handle it right? You got to decide what needs to change. Because I want to tell you that without a shadow of a doubt, Samson and Delilah story could have been so much different. Oh, it could have been so much different. Yeah, we could say Samson shouldn't have got with Delilah. That's true, but he did. He could have made a different set of decisions with her. She could have made a different set of decisions with him. You and I, we there's stuff that we're attracted to, people, places, and things we're attracted to. Some stuff can change, some stuff should change, some stuff we should let go of, some stuff we should move around. But sometimes you get some man, is this the problem or am I? You decide what needs to change. After you decide what needs to change, you need to write out and decide why it needs to change. Because I'm telling you right now, the reason why some people haven't changed yet is because your why is not big enough. I gotta let y'all go. I'm telling you, the reason why some people haven't changed some stuff is because the why isn't big enough. Do you know why you can't stay there? Do you know why you can't keep settling? Do you know why you can't keep playing small? Yes, if one coach says this way, if your why doesn't make you cry, then the cost of commitment will always be too high. It's why some people don't make significant life adjustments in terms of their health, their eating, and their wellness until something tragic happens. Because all of a sudden, when they really realize their life is in significant danger, then they make changes. And some of you, because you don't see yourself clearly, you don't see yourself as a spiritual weapon of mass destruction that's sent to take down kingdoms and strongholds. Because you don't see yourself strong enough, you don't see yourself big enough, you don't see the impact you're called to make in this world, make in your family, make in your community, make through your church. Because you don't see yourself as that, your why isn't big enough. Meet me on Wednesday. Meet me Wednesday, rated R Wednesday. I'll deal with the small Wednesday night. That's enough right there. Decide what needs to change. decide why it needs to change. Because love's not the problem, it's what you love. And anytime you love anything more than God, you're in trouble. Don't mean you shouldn't love people. You just shouldn't love people more than God. You don't mean you shouldn't love your spouse. You just shouldn't love your spouse more than God. Don't. Some of y'all can say you don't love your profession more than God, but I don't know which one do you give more of your time to? Which one do you allow to tell you what to do? I promise you, I'm trying to finish this, Regina. If you love God more than your profession, why do you allow your boss to tell you what to do and you listen, whether you listen reluctantly or not? But when God says do something, you don't. Meet me Wednesday night, Rated R Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, YouTube Empowerment Anywhere. So, Father, we thank you for who you are. Lord, I pray today for healing for your people. Gosh, I feel them so strongly this morning. I pray for those who are heavy hearted, for those who are burdened, for those who are worn down, for those who are worn out. I pray that they will understand that in order to reap in joy, they had to sow in tears. They could not walk in the fullness of their joy until they had their season of tears. So let them know that their tears were not in vain. But I pray for spiritual acceleration. That as they get clearer, they will step into their calling, step into their purpose, step into their next season, and that they will go further, faster. Further, faster. They will step out of self-destructive behaviors and divisive and destructive and distracting relationships with people, places, and things. I pray you will show us who we are, show us what to do with what you gave us, and show us what is in store for us. And Lord, I know you do that step by step. So I pray that we will put our confidence, our trust, and our belief in you. Have your way. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Listen, if you're here, you need to hear. You need to make a decision today. Make that decision. Give your life to the Lord for the first time. Give your life back to the Lord. Join this church family. Some of y'all like, man, anybody ever talk to me like that? Good. Some of y'all like, man, I ain't never had a pastor be that real with me. Good. I'm not called to be everybody's pastor, but I'm probably called to be yours. You heard this and this woke something up on you? Yeah, that was God. Some of y'all, I'm not your pastor. I'm a spiritual source of influence. That's okay. I'm cool with that too. But some of you all, you know that God called me to be your pastor. You're like, yo, how did you know this? How did you know this stuff? It's God. It ain't me. How do you know my business? It's God. It's not me. It's because God has tied and tethered us together, and you didn't even know it until today. Make that decision. Text the word connect to 708-449-8177. The word connect to 708-449-8177. 708-449-8197. You giving your life to the Lord for the first time, giving your life back to the Lord, giving your becoming a member of this church family. Here it is. This is what you got to see. But when I say give your life to the Lord, even when Samson didn't get it right, the Lord gave him another chance. And that's the same thing that happens to us. We didn't get it right. We won't ever always get it right. But to prevent us from going to a Christ's grave, Jesus was sent to show us the example. And if you say, I want a relationship with Jesus, text the word connect to 708-449-8197. Our team will contact you, let you know what it means to make the decision today. But I want you to make that decision today. Text the word connect. Giving your life to the Lord, giving your life back to the Lord, joining this church family. Maybe you have a prayer request. You can submit it that way. Listen, if you're here, you need to give today. Give back to the God that's graciously given to us. I want to invite you to give today. To give, you can text the word empowerment to 77977. The word empowerment to 77977. The word empowerment to 77977. You can get by Cash App, $Empowerment Church. $Empowerment Church. You can get by the church website, www.empowermentanywhere.com. Or mail it in to the P.O. Box, P.O. Box 335, Maywood, Illinois. P.O. Box 335, Maywood, Illinois. Well, listen, everybody. Super Bowl party tonight, 5 o'clock. Information's on the church website. We'll be sending out a reminder to you again in just a moment. I Want to make sure you're there. There's no after church hangout today. If you're watching this live, no church hangout. We'll see you at the hangout at 5 o'clock in person. We get to watch party there. And you want to volunteer, reach out and let us know. But we look forward to seeing you. Bring Lottie Dottie and everybody. It's gonna be a great time. Listen, we got 70. We rented. We got 70-inch TVs. We're doing it. I want to see you there. I miss you. I love you. Praying for you. Have an incredible day. See you on Wednesday at 7. See you tonight at 5 and Wednesday at 7. Talk with you all later. Let's go.